The judge's gavel came down. My son's face went white. I'd won. But the victory tasted like ash. The courthouse conference room felt too small for what had just happened. Marcus sat frozen at the defendant's table, his expensive suit suddenly cheap under fluorescent lights. His attorney's hands shook, shuffling papers. Behind me, Emma, my granddaughter, crying softly. "Dad, please." Marcus whispered. I adjusted my wire-rimmed glasses. The gesture I always make before saying something that matters. "I'm not your dad anymore, Marcus. Just the man whose estate you tried to steal." The words landed like stones. His shoulders sagged. 16-year-old Emma watched from the back row, her world breaking in real time. Before I explain how a 73-year-old architect destroyed his attorney's son in court, if stories about family betrayal and justice matter to you, please hit like and subscribe to Familic's Revenge. These real stories need to be heard, but I'm getting ahead of myself. To understand how we ended up here, father against son in a legal battle neither could win, you need to know what we were, what Marcus destroyed, what I built. My name is Vincent Marcus Ashford, 73 years old. For 40 years I designed buildings, the kind that define a city's skyline. The Riverside Cultural Center, Hamilton Tower, Westside Public Library. Half the landmarks you see downtown carry my signature in their bones. Every morning I still sketch. Napkins, envelopes, whatever's nearby when an idea strikes. My hands are spotted with age. The left one trembles from an old carpentry injury, but the lines come out steady, precise. Measure twice, cut once, served me well in architecture. Less well with family. Catherine, my wife, died 6 years ago. Cancer took her slowly. Gave us time to say everything that mattered. She was the warm one, the forgiver, the peacemaker. I'm the builder, solid plans, careful execution, structures meant to last. Without her, this house feels too big. The morning tea I make sits untouched at her favorite window. Don't drink it, but I make it anyway. Marcus is my only son, 48, corporate attorney, Emma's father. We raised him together until Catherine's death when he was 41. Those years shaped us both in ways I'm only now understanding. 7 to 12 we were close. Golden years. I'd take him to construction sites, let him wear my extra hard hat, teach him to read blueprints. He had Catherine's eyes and my stubborn streak. Thought he'd become an architect, carry on the practice. Instead, he chose law. Debate and argument came naturally. Probably inherited my precision, but applied it to words instead of steel and concrete. The distance grew through college. Whedon during law school. By the time he married Rebecca, we had careful conversations about weather and work. Nothing deeper. When his marriage fell apart 8 years later, I made a mistake. Sided with Rebecca. Told Marcus he was making her miserable with his controlling nature. He never forgave me. 2 years ago, after the divorce, Marcus moved back into the family home. Temporarily, he said. Just until I get settled. Emma needs stability. I welcome them. Thought proximity might rebuild what we'd lost. Emma is 16 now. Bright, artistic like her grandmother. Keeps a detailed journal. She sketches on napkins during our Sunday dinners, or used to, back when Sunday dinners still happened. Teaching her to draw is one of my few remaining joys. She asks questions about buildings, about Catherine, about family history. Or she did before her father started coaching her about grandpas. Confusion. Dr. Patricia Chen has been my physician for 30 years. We play chess every Thursday evening, a ritual that outlasted Catherine, outlasted my retirement, outlasted my trust in my own son. Patricia represents something important outside validation. Someone who knows me well enough to spot the lies Marcus would later tell. Life before everything changed had a rhythm. Morning tea at Catherine's window. Afternoon sketching. Emma's visits after school. Managing my own finances with the same precision I brought to architectural plans. Evening reading. Thursday chess. Marcus would occasionally suggest I seemed tired, that I should let him help with the complicated stuff. I declined. Politely. Firmly. Should have noticed the pattern earlier. New locks on my study door I never requested. Marcus answering calls meant for me. His suggestions about my tiredness becoming more frequent. Emma asking careful questions. Grandpa, do you remember when we talked about this? When I knew we hadn't. Marcus's stress about money he never discussed. 6 months ago, we had a Sunday dinner that felt warm, real. Marcus seemed genuinely interested in my stories about building the Riverside Center. Emma sketched on a napkin while I talked. Felt hopeful. I was watching a performance. Marcus was already planning. Everything changed the morning I pretended to nap in my study. Marcus thought I was asleep. He was wrong about that. Wrong about so much more. Wednesday morning, late April. I'd settled into my leather armchair by the study window, architectural journal open. Sunlight streamed through the glass, warming my face. Wasn't trying to eavesdrop. I'd actually dozed off, the kind of light afternoon nap that comes with age and good sunlight. Marcus's voice woke me. He was in the hallway just outside, speaking on his phone. Started to announce myself, then something in his tone stopped me. That careful, lawyer voice he uses when building a case. I stayed silent, kept my breathing steady, eyes closed. No, he doesn't suspect anything, Marcus said. His dress shoes clicked on the hardwood as he paced. Thinks I'm just helping with bills and medical appointments. Making things easier. My heart started racing, forced myself motionless. The leather armrest creaked under my grip. Dr. Chen won't cooperate, but that's expected. Too invested in the relationship. Dr. Henderson said he'd testify if we need him. The evaluation should be straightforward. Testify, evaluation. The words landed like hammer strikes. Right, conservatorship petition. Will cite diminished capacity, memory lapses, confusion about finances, inability to manage complex affairs. I've been documenting incidents for 6 months now. 6 months. While I taught Emma to sketch, while we had Sunday dinners, while I trusted my own son. Emma's journal entries will be useful evidence. She's been writing down the confusion episodes like I asked. Doesn't suspect she's building the case for us. Emma. Using Emma. The afternoon sunlight suddenly felt too hot. Tasted copper had bitten my tongue to keep from moving. Marcus's cologne drifted through the doorway, that expensive brand he wore to court. The smell would make me nauseous for months. Medical power of attorney first, then full conservatorship once the competency hearing confirms what we both know. He's 73, living alone, clearly declining. The court will see this as protective, not adversarial. My son's voice so calm, so reasonable, planning to erase my autonomy. Declare me incompetent. Steal everything I'd built. 3 weeks to finalize the petition. Maybe 4. We need this done before he realizes what's happening and tries to fight it. Once the hearing's scheduled, it'll be too late. He ended the call. Heard him walk toward the front door, heard it open and close. His car started in the driveway. Only then did I open my eyes. The study looked exactly the same. Same desk where Catherine used to pay bills. Same blueprints on the walls. Same bookshelf full of architectural journals. But everything had changed. Sat there for 20 minutes, maybe longer. Then started testing myself. Presidents in order: Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe. Went through all 46 without hesitation. Mathematical sequences, Fibonacci, prime numbers, compound interest calculations. Balanced my checkbook in my head, every transaction from the past 3 months, exact to the penny. My calendar hung on the wall. Cross-referenced it with memory. Every appointment attended. Every meeting kept. No confusion. No memory lapses, no dementia. Marcus was fabricating evidence of a decline that didn't exist. The hands trembling as I pulled out my phone weren't from age or disease. Rage. And the old carpentry injury from 40 years ago. The one I'd always been careful to document because it wasn't a tremor. Just damaged nerves from a table saw accident. I'd need to make sure that distinction was medically recorded. Called Leonard Hartwell. We'd worked together on projects in the 80s. He handled contracts while I handled design. 70 now, semi-retired, but his mind stayed sharp. Leonard, I said when he answered. I need legal advice. Hypothetically speaking, if someone's adult child was attempting to file for conservatorship based on fabricated incompetency claims, what would you recommend? Silence on the other end. Then, Vincent, is Marcus trying to declare you incompetent?
Yes.
How long have you known? 23 minutes. Another pause. Don't confront him yet. You need evidence, documentation, witnesses. Come to my office tomorrow evening. We'll build a defense. Not a defense, Leonard. A counter case. That could destroy your relationship with him. Looked at Catherine's photo on my desk. Imagine the conversation we'd have if she were here. She'd tell me to forgive, to talk to Marcus, to find understanding. But Catherine hadn't heard what I'd heard. Hadn't listened to our son plot to steal my autonomy. To weaponize our granddaughter. He's already destroyed it, I said. I'm just going to document the wreckage. Vincent. I'm an architect, Leonard. You don't build without surveying the site first. I need to understand the full scope of what he's planned before I decide how to respond. Can you help me with that? Yes. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. Don't let him know you're suspicious. After we hung up, I sat in that chair until the sun set. The house grew dark around me. Upstairs, Marcus moving around. He'd come home while I was on the phone with Leonard. Getting ready for dinner. Acting normal. That's when I understood something crucial. Marcus had been performing normalcy for months while building his case. Now it was my turn to perform. Could play confused. Could play declining. Could give him exactly what he expected to see. And while he relaxed into his false victory, I'd build a case so airtight he'd never see it coming. The architectural blueprints on my wall caught the last rays of sunlight. Structures built to last. I'd spent 40 years creating permanence. Now I'd spend the next 3 weeks creating the most important structure of my life, the legal framework that would protect my autonomy and teach my granddaughter that truth matters more than blood. Marcus thought I was asleep during his phone call, thought I was declining, thought I wouldn't fight back. He was wrong about all of it. Next morning, Marcus left for his office at 8:30, waited 15 minutes, then went to work. His briefcase sat in the study, expensive leather, the one he carried to court. Left it open on the side table, overconfident. Why hide anything from a confused old man who couldn't understand complex documents anyway? Photographed everything with my phone. Had to look up the camera function, ironic, given Marcus's incompetence claims. But I figured it out. Took clear shots of every page. The draft conservatorship petition made my stomach turn. Formal legal language describing Vincent Marcus Ashford, age 73, as suffering from progressive cognitive decline and inability to manage financial affairs. Cited specific incidents. February 12. Subject demonstrated tremor while handling coffee cup, dropping contents. I remembered that day. Marcus had bumped my elbow while I was drinking. The spill was his fault, not my trembling hands. March 3's I subject forgot scheduled medical appointment, requiring rescheduling. The appointment Marcus had changed without telling me, then claimed I'd forgotten. March 2 subject expressed confusion about dividend transfers, unable to recall authorizing transactions, because I never authorized them. A dozen incidents, all fabricated or twisted. He'd been building this narrative brick by brick while I trusted him. Then I found the financial folder, investment statements, loan applications, bank correspondence. Marcus owed $340,000, a failed real estate venture during the pandemic, over-leveraged properties that collapsed when the market shifted. He'd attempted to secure a loan using my estate as collateral. Denied due to lack of legal authority. That's when I understood. This wasn't just about control. Marcus was desperate, drowning financially, viewing my estate as the life raft. Understanding his motivation didn't excuse it, but it complicated my anger. Made it harder to see him as pure villain. Photographed everything. Returned the briefcase exactly as I'd found it. Went to my appointment with Dr. Chen. Patricia's office smelled like antiseptic and the lavender oil she kept by her desk. She'd been my doctor since Catherine's diagnosis, saw us through the cancer treatments, the hospice arrangements, the grief afterward. 30 years of medical history between us. She closed the exam room door before speaking. Vincent, I need to tell you something. Marcus has been asking me to sign competency evaluation forms. I know, I said. Overheard him on the phone. Her shoulders relaxed slightly. You're sharper than I am on most days. I refused, obviously. Told him there was no medical basis for questioning your cognitive function. But he's seeking second opinions. Dr. Henderson. Someone who doesn't know you won't have years of baseline to compare against. She pulled out a form. Vincent, I think you need comprehensive documentation. Full neurological evaluation, cognitive testing, the works. Something that can't be dismissed as a biased opinion from an old friend. Can you arrange it? I already started making calls. She handed me a card. Dr. Sarah Mendez, neuropsychologist. Complete workup, memory, executive function, decision-making capacity. Thorough and objective. How long? She has an opening next week. 3-hour evaluation, results within 48 hours. Took the card. Thank you, Patricia. You're building a case. Wasn't a question. I'm an architect. Building is what I do. She nodded. I'll document everything Marcus requests from me. Anything else you need. Just your honesty when the time comes. You'll have it. Walking home, I made a decision that still makes me uncomfortable. Crossed a line I'd never crossed before. Emma's room sat at the end of the upstairs hallway. Pink walls from when she was 12, slowly being covered with sketches and college brochures. Her journal sat on the nightstand, purple cover, well-worn spine, stood in her doorway for a full minute, debating. This was her private space. Her thoughts. Reading it without permission violated the trust I'd spent 16 years building. But Marcus had already violated that trust. Already weaponized her observations against me. I needed to know what he'd done to her. Sat on her bed. Opened the journal. First coached entry was dated January 15th. Dade says I should write down when Grandpa seems confused. He says it's important to track these things because Grandpa might not remember later. My hands shook reading that, Marcus planting the seed making Emma doubt her own grandfather's competence. But then March 15th. Dad says Grandpa forgot about our dinner plans. But I was there when they talked, and Grandpa said Dad changed the time without telling him. I don't know who's right. Why would Dad lie? But Grandpa seemed really sure about what happened. Hope flickered. Emma was questioning the narrative. April 30. Grandpa explained the stock dividend thing to me today. Made perfect sense. Showed me all the documents, walked me through the math. Why did Dad say Grandpa was confused about money? He wasn't confused at all. She was already doubting Marcus. Already seeing through the manipulation. April 20. Dad wants me to testify at some hearing about Grandpa needing help. Says I should tell the truth about the confused episodes. But were they really confused episodes? Or did Dad just say they were? My granddaughter, 16 years old, being turned into a weapon, but fighting back with questions, with observation, with the same attention to detail I'd taught her through architecture, photographed the relevant pages, returned the journal exactly as I'd found it, left her room feeling equal parts guilty and protective. That night, over dinner, I tested Marcus. Marcus, I've been thinking about that dividend transfer you mentioned. Don't remember authorizing it. He exchanged a quick glance with Emma. Dad, we discussed it last week. You signed the authorization form. Did I? Let confusion creep into my voice. Inside, cataloging every micro-expression on his face. I'm sorry, son. Sometimes things slip my mind lately. Relief washed over his features, followed immediately by guilt that he quickly suppressed. It's okay, Dad. That's why I'm here to help. Emma watched us both, her expression uncertain. Later heard her in the kitchen with Marcus. Dad, is Grandpa really okay? He seemed fine explaining things to me before. He has good days and bad days, honey. Today's a bad day. That's why we need to help him before it gets worse. Stood in the hallway, listening to my son gaslight my granddaughter about my mental state. Listened to him use her love for me as leverage to build his case. The pattern became clear over the following week. Marcus had been systematically building a conservatorship case for months. Rerouted my mail so I'd miss statements. Scheduled doctor appointments, then changed them without notice, claiming I'd forgotten. Intercepted phone calls. Told extended family I was declining rapidly. To set expectations, he'd attempted to get a loan using my estate as collateral, denied because he had no legal authority. Yet, the conservatorship would give him that authority. Access to everything I'd built over 4 decades. Created a timeline in my study. Mapped every incident, every manipulation, every lie. The conspiracy had roots going back at least 6 months, possibly longer. And through it all, Emma's journal entries showed her growing doubt. Her questions. Her refusal to simply accept what her father told her. That gave me hope. And it gave me resolve. Wasn't just fighting for my autonomy anymore. Fighting to teach Emma that manipulation has consequences. That truth matters. That the people who love you don't turn you into weapons. The neurological evaluation with Dr. Mendez took 3 hours. Memory tests, problem-solving exercises, spatial reasoning, executive function assessments. She was thorough, clinical, objective. 2 days later, her report arrived. Patient demonstrates cognitive function well above average for his age group. No evidence of dementia, memory impairment, or diminished capacity. Fully competent to manage own affairs. I had my ammunition. Now I needed my strategy. That evening I sat at Catherine's desk with family photos spread before me. Marcus at 7, gap-toothed and proud, holding his first blueprint I'd let him draw. Marcus at 16, already argumentative but brilliant. Marcus at his law school graduation, Catherine beaming beside him. Marcus at his wedding. At Emma's birth. At Catherine's funeral, could confront him. Lay out everything I knew and demand explanation. Maybe he'd apologize. Maybe we'd find a way through this together. Maybe his desperation and my forgiveness could rebuild what was breaking. But then what? Emma learns that manipulation without consequences is acceptable. That elders can be gaslit and controlled by their own children. That financial desperation justifies stealing someone's autonomy. Picked up Catherine's photo. Her smile looked back at me, warm and forgiving as always. You'd tell me to talk to him, I said to the empty room. To forgive? You always did? But Catherine, you didn't hear what I heard. Didn't see him turn Emma into evidence against me. He's teaching our granddaughter that this is acceptable. The photo didn't answer. Never would again. Put it down. Called Leonard. His downtown office occupied the third floor of a building I designed in 1987. The elevator still had my original brass fixtures. Leonard waited in his conference room, files already spread across the mahogany table. Vincent. He stood to shake my hand, studying my face. You look tired. I am tired, Leonard. Tired of my son treating me like I'm already in the grave. We sat. He poured whiskey, good scotch. The kind we used to drink after closing major contracts. Took a sip. Let it burn. This will destroy your relationship with Marcus. Leonard said. Not a question. A warning. He's already destroyed it. I'm just making the destruction official. What about Emma? I'm fighting for Emma. She needs to see that truth has consequences, that manipulation doesn't work, that her grandfather isn't weak. Leonard nodded slowly. Two options. We can prepare to fight the conservatorship hearing when he files. Or, we restructure your estate preemptively. Remove him as executor and beneficiary. Document your competency so thoroughly he can't challenge it. Then let him file anyway. Let him file. You want justice, Vincent, not just protection. Justice requires him to commit fully to this betrayal, then face the consequences in court. Leonard leaned forward. We make him think he's winning until the moment we prove he's been lying. The strategy appealed to the architect in me. Let Marcus build his case on sand. Watch it collapse under scrutiny. Both, I said. I want him to file. I want the hearing. But I want to be ready with documentation he can't refute. Leonard pulled out a legal pad. Comprehensive cognitive evaluation, you've got that. Financial competency review. I'll arrange it. Videotape testamentary capacity statement proving you understand your assets and decisions. Complete estate restructuring removing Marcus from any position of authority. How long? 2 weeks to have everything ironclad. You said he mentioned 3 to 4 weeks until filing. That's what he told his attorney on the phone. Then we have time. Leonard made notes. The estate restructuring will be permanent, Vincent. Even if you reconcile later, these changes can't easily be undone. You're essentially disinheriting your only child. The words hit harder than expected. Disinheriting Marcus. Removing him from the legacy I'd spent a lifetime building. What's the alternative? Let him declare me incompetent. Let him steal my autonomy while I'm still breathing. Let Emma watch her father manipulate the legal system and face no consequences. No. I'm just making sure you understand the cost. I understand. Drained the whiskey. My relationship with Marcus cracked the moment he decided to fabricate my mental decline. You can patch cracks, shore them up, make them look stable, but they'll never bear the same weight again. Late that night, couldn't sleep. Sat in bed looking through old photo albums. Saw Marcus's progression from boy to man. Tried to identify the moment we lost each other. Maybe it was when Catherine died, and I didn't know how to grieve with him. Maybe it was when he chose law over architecture, and I couldn't hide my disappointment. Maybe it was his divorce when I sided with Rebecca, or maybe it was always heading here. Maybe some people, when desperate enough, will sacrifice anyone, even their own father. At 3 a.m., I made my final decision, not for revenge, not even for justice, really, for Emma, so she'd know that truth matters more than convenience, that elder abuse, even from family, has consequences, that her grandfather had enough strength to protect himself when the people who should have protected him turned predator instead. I'd let Marcus proceed, let him schedule his hearing, let him think victory was inevitable, and then I'd show him exactly how competent a 73-year-old architect could be. Next morning, I began my performance. Marcus. I called from the kitchen, staring at the coffee maker like it confused me. Could you help me with this? Can't remember which button starts it. He appeared in the doorway, concern and relief warring on his face. The relief one. Of course, Dad, it's this one. The same as always. Right, thank you. Let my hand tremble slightly as I reached for my cup. Sometimes these things just slip my mind. The lie tasted bitter. But I watched Marcus relax, watched him believe his own narrative was finally becoming reality. That night, heard him on the phone scheduling the competency hearing. 3 weeks out. May 15th. Marked it on my calendar and smiled. While Marcus saw confusion, I was undergoing evaluations that would demolish his case. Financial competency review with Leonard's recommended expert. Demonstrated flawless understanding of complex portfolios, tax implications, estate structures. Videotaped statement of testamentary capacity. Clearly articulating every asset, every intention, every reasoning behind my decisions. Marcus, I said over dinner a week later, pushing my reading glasses up my nose. Could you explain this bank statement again? I'm having trouble following the numbers. Could calculate compound interest in my head faster than he could with a calculator. But I needed him comfortable. Confident. Careless. Of course, Dad. Take your time. There's no rush. His voice dripped with patronizing patience. Underneath, I saw the guilt he was learning to suppress. Emma watched us both, her expression unreadable. 2 days before the hearing, Emma asked to meet me for coffee. Small shop near her school. Neutral territory. She stirred her lat nervously, not meeting my eyes. Grandpa, I need to ask you something. Anything, sweetheart. Are you really confused? Because sometimes you seem completely fine, like yourself. And then Dad says you're having a bad day, but I don't see it. Had a choice in that moment. Maintain the performance or trust her with truth. Chose truth. Partial truth. Anyway, do I seem confused to you, Emma? She looked up, her grandmother's eyes searching my face. No, not at all. Then trust your own observations. But Dad says, your father believes what he needs to believe. Sometimes good people convince themselves of convenient truths. Reached across the table, took her hand. Emma, I can't tell you everything right now. But I can tell you this: trust your own eyes. Trust what you see, not what you're told to see. That's not really an answer, Grandpa. It's the only answer I can give you right now. Will you trust me? She squeezed my hand, nodded. Okay. Left that coffee shop knowing I'd risked everything. If Emma told Marcus about our conversation, he might withdraw the petition. I'd lose my chance for public vindication. But protecting Emma from testifying falsely mattered more than my revenge. That evening, Dr. Patricia Chen called. Vincent, you should know, Marcus's ex-wife contacted me. Rebecca. She's flying in from Geneva. My heart jumped. Rebecca. Why? I may have reached out to her. Mentioned what Marcus was doing. She recognized the pattern from their marriage. Patricia paused. She wants to testify about his history of control and manipulation. With your permission. Sat down heavily. Rebecca. The daughter-in-law I'd sided with during the divorce. The one Marcus never forgave me for supporting. Her testimony would be devastating. Does Marcus know she's coming? Not yet. Patricia, thank you. Yes. Tell her yes. Rebecca arrived the next afternoon. Met her at the house while Marcus was at his office. She looked older, lines around her eyes that hadn't been there during the marriage. But her handshake was firm, her gaze direct. Vincent. I know exactly what you're experiencing. He did it to me for 12 years. We sat in the living room where she used to live, where Marcus had slowly convinced her she was unstable, unreliable, incompetent at managing their household. I should have listened when you tried to warn me during the divorce. You're listening now. That's what matters. She pulled out a folder. Documentation from our marriage counseling. Emails, journal entries, pattern of control and gaslighting spanning over a decade. I can testify to all of it. He'll say you're bitter about the divorce. Let him. Emma needs to hear this from her mother. She needs to understand what her father is capable of. As if summoned, the front door opened. Emma's voice called out, Grandpa, I'm home. She walked into the living room and froze. Mom. Rebecca stood, opened her arms. Emma ran to her, and they held each other while I looked away, giving them privacy. Sweetheart. Rebecca said gently. We need to talk about your father. What about Dad? Watched Emma's face as Rebecca began explaining. Watched confusion turn to horror. Watched her 16-year-old worldview crack and restructure. He's lying about Grandpa being confused, Emma whispered. Isn't he? Yes, honey. Just like he lied about me being unstable. It's what he does when he wants control. The front door slammed. Marcus stood in the hallway, staring at his ex-wife in his father's living room, his daughter in her arms. What the hell is going on here? His voice shook. Rebecca, what did you tell her? The truth, Marcus. Something you seem allergic to. He turned to me, betrayal written across his face. The irony wasn't lost on me. He felt betrayed by my honesty, while actively trying to steal my autonomy through lies. You told her. You're trying to manipulate Emma through her mother. No, Marcus. Stood, met his eyes. I'm letting Emma see the truth. Something you've worked very hard to prevent. This is about the hearing tomorrow. You're sabotaging. I'm not sabotaging anything. The hearing will proceed exactly as scheduled. We'll present our evidence. You'll present yours. The judge will decide. May the most competent man win. He stared at me, really seeing me for the first time in months, seeing clarity instead of confusion, seeing strategy instead of decline. Recognition dawned slowly. You've known. This whole time. You've been playing. Yes. I've known since the moment you scheduled that phone call in the hallway outside my study. The one where you thought I was asleep. The color drained from his face. Tomorrow, we'll see who the court believes, son. The architect who built this city, or the attorney who built a case on lies. Adjusted my glasses, my tell, my measurement gesture. I measured twice. Now I'm cutting once. That night, none of us slept, Marcus in his room surely panicking. Emma with Rebecca at a hotel, processing revelations about her father. Me in my study, reviewing Leonard's trial preparation one final time. The hearing was 12 hours away, and I was ready. The night before the hearing, I sat alone in my study. Leonard's file lay open before me, cognitive evaluations, financial reviews. Marcus's fabricated incident reports with my counter, evidence beside each one. A stack of truth built to withstand any assault. Pulled out a sheet of paper. Began writing a letter I'd never send. Marcus, tomorrow I'll destroy the case you spent months building. I'll expose your lies in front of a judge, your daughter, your ex-wife. I'll prove you fabricated my mental decline to steal my estate. But what I really wish I could do is understand when you stopped being my son and became someone I don't recognize. Dad folded it. Tucked it in my desk drawer. Went to bed. Sleep didn't come. At 3 a.m., stood at Catherine's window, watching the city I'd helped build. My landmarks dotted the skyline, monuments to precision, planning, permanence. Tomorrow I'd find out if family bonds were less permanent than concrete and steel. The courthouse conference room felt smaller than I'd imagined. Not a dramatic courtroom with high ceilings and jury boxes, just a functional space with a long table, fluorescent lights, too many chairs. Judge Morrison sat at the head. Middle-aged, professional, reviewing documents with the detached efficiency of someone who'd seen too many family disputes. Marcus and his attorney occupied one side of the table. Leonard and I took the other. Emma sat in the back row beside Rebecca. Dr. Chen 2 seats away. A silent presence of medical authority. Marcus wouldn't look at me. His expensive suit couldn't hide the exhaustion in his face. The panic barely controlled behind his lawyer's mask. Judge Morrison looked up. We're here regarding a petition for conservatorship. Mr. Brennan, you represent the petitioner. Marcus's attorney stood. Mid-40s, slicked back hair. The kind of lawyer who took cases for billable hours, not justice. Yes, Your Honor. Marcus Ashford seeks conservatorship of his father Vincent due to diminished capacity. Our evidence shows memory lapses, confusion about finances, inability to manage complex affairs. We believe this is a protective measure, not adversarial. Mr. Hartwell. The judge turned to Leonard. Leonard rose slowly, theatrical in his timing. Your Honor, before we proceed, I'd like to present comprehensive medical and financial evaluations conducted within the past 3 weeks. With the court's permission. Proceed. Leonard laid it out like blueprints. Neurological evaluation from Dr. Mendez, cognitive function well above average. Financial competency review, flawless understanding of complex portfolios. Videotaped testamentary capacity statement, clear, detailed, legally sound. Then the counter evidence. Each incident, Marcus had documented, paired with proof it was fabricated or manipulated. February 20, subject demonstrated tremor, dropping coffee. Counter medical records of carpentry injury from 1982. Nerve damage, not age-related tremor. Marcus bumped Vincent's elbow, causing spill. March 30, subject forgot medical appointment. Counter email showing Marcus rescheduled without informing Vincent. March 2080, subject confused about dividend transfers. Counter. Bank records proving Vincent never authorized transfers. Marcus had rerouted them without permission. Marcus's attorney paled with each revelation. Marcus stared at the table. Judge Morrison's expression shifted from neutral to concerned. Mr. Marcus Ashford, this petition lists specific incidents of confusion. Can you provide medical documentation supporting your father's alleged decline? Marcus's attorney cleared his throat. Dr. Henderson was prepared to testify. A jacker. Henderson? Leonard interrupted smoothly. Met Vincent once 3 days ago for 15 minutes. Dr. Chen has been Vincent's physician for 30 years. Dr. Chen. Patricia stood. Her voice was clinical, professional, damning. Your Honor, Vincent Ashford is cognitively exceptional. I've documented his medical history extensively. There is no evidence, none, of dementia, memory impairment, or diminished capacity. I refuse to sign competency concerns because they have no medical basis. Yet you sought a second opinion from Dr. Henderson, the judge said to Marcus's attorney. Why? Silence. Then Leonard delivered the killing blow. Your Honor. Relevant to motivation, Marcus Ashford owes $340,000 from a failed real estate investment. He attempted to secure loans against his father's estate, requests denied due to lack of legal authority. This conservatorship would grant him that authority. The room went silent. Judge Morrison turned to Marcus. Mr. Ashford, is this accurate? Marcus opened his mouth, closed it. His attorney whispered urgently in his ear. Finally, my financial situation has no bearing on my father's needs. It has significant bearing on this petition's motivation, the judge said coldly. Then Rebecca stood. Emma gripped her mother's hand. Your Honor, if I may. I was married to Marcus for 12 years. Her voice carried across the room. This pattern of control, of manipulating perception, of convincing people someone is incompetent, I experienced it throughout our marriage. Your Honor. Marcus's attorney objected. The ex-wife is clearly what? Judge Morrison's tone sharpened. A witness to relevant behavioral patterns. I'll allow it. Continue, Miss Hartley. Rebecca presented her evidence calmly. Marriage counseling records where Marcus convinced the therapist she was unstable. Emails documenting his control. Journal entries showing his systematic undermining of her confidence. He convinced everyone I was incompetent at managing our household, our finances, our daughter's schedule. He's skilled at building false narratives, Your Honor. And when someone threatens his control, he escalates. Emma was crying silently. Rebecca sat down beside her, wrapped an arm around her shoulders. The judge reviewed documents for what felt like an hour. Then, Mr. Brennan, I've seen enough. This petition is without medical or factual foundation. In fact, the evidence suggests deliberate fabrication of cognitive decline that does not exist. Marcus's face went white. The same expression from my opening words. The judge's gavel might as well have already fallen. Petition dismissed with prejudice. Furthermore, Judge Morrison's voice hardened. I'm referring this matter to the Bar Association for review of potential ethics violations. Fabricating evidence of incompetency to gain legal control over a competent individual raises serious professional conduct questions. The gavel came down. Marcus's attorney gathered papers with shaking hands. Leonard remained still, letting the moment settle. Dr. Chen nodded at me once. Professional solidarity. Emma buried her face in Rebecca's shoulder. And Marcus, my only son, my only child, stared at me with something between hatred and devastation. I'd won. Completely. Absolutely. The victory tasted like ash. People filed out. Leonard touched my shoulder briefly, then left to give me space. Dr. Chen followed. Rebecca guided Emma toward the exit, both avoiding looking at Marcus. In the hallway, Marcus cornered me. His voice shook. You made me look like a monster in there. Adjusted my glasses. I presented facts. You created the narrative. I was trying to protect you. No, Marcus. You were trying to inherit while I was still breathing. There's a difference. So what now? His laugh was bitter. You disown me. Cut me out completely. I already have. Leonard restructured the estate last month. You're no longer in it. Irrevocable trust for Emma. Majority to the architectural foundation, nothing for you. You wanted control of my legacy. Now you have none of it. He reeled like I'd struck him. I'm your son. You were my son. Now you're just the attorney who tried to declare me incompetent for financial gain. Emma appeared beside us, tears streaming. Grandpa. Dad, what's happening to our family? Looked at her, 16, brilliant, Catherine's eyes in a breaking face. The truth, sweetheart. Sometimes truth breaks things beyond repair. Marcus walked away without another word. Down the courthouse hallway, shoulders slumped, destroyed. Watched him go. Felt nothing and everything simultaneously. Emma looked between us. Did you have to do it this way? Yes. I did. Touched her cheek gently. You needed to see that manipulation has consequences. That truth matters. That your grandfather wasn't weak or confused or incompetent. But he's still my dad. I know. And I'm sorry you had to learn this about him. But better you learn it now than testify to lies in that courtroom. She hugged me, sobbing. Over her shoulder, I saw Rebecca watching. She mouthed 2 words, thank you. The hearing was over. The case was won. But the real aftermath, living with what I'd done, was just beginning. 6 months have passed since that courthouse hearing. People ask if I regret it. Wrong question. I regret it was necessary. Regret my son chose betrayal over honesty. Regret Emma had to learn about her father's capacity for manipulation in a legal proceeding. But do I regret protecting myself? Protecting Emma from being weaponized? Proving that elder abuse, even from family, has consequences? No, don't regret that. Marcus moved out the week after the hearing. Took a job in another city, Chicago. I heard through mutual acquaintances. He's rebuilding his finances, his reputation, his life. We don't speak. He sends Emma birthday cards unsigned. She keeps them in a drawer but doesn't display them. The extended family fractured along predictable lines. Some relatives stopped speaking to me, convinced I overreacted. Others saw the evidence and understood. Sunday dinners don't happen anymore. The dining room table I set for 3 now collects dust. My health actually improved without the stress. Blood pressure down. Sleep better. No more pretending confusion. No more walking on eggshells in my own home. Turns out living with someone plotting to steal your autonomy is bad for your health. Emma visits every week. Thursday evenings after her art class. We sketch together. Her grandmother's blueprints spread across my desk, teaching her to read the language of architecture. She's applying to design programs. Following Catherine's artistic path and my structural thinking. Last month, she brought her acceptance letter to Cornell's architecture school. We celebrated with tea at Catherine's window. I actually drank it that time. Grandpa, she asked, watching the sunset paint my buildings gold, do you miss him? Dad. Considered lying. Chose truth instead. I miss who I thought he was. I don't miss what he became. Do you think you'll ever talk again? I don't know, sweetheart. You can patch cracks, shore them up, make them look stable from the outside. But they never bear the same weight again. She nodded, understanding more than a 16-year-old should have to. Rebecca returned to Geneva but calls monthly. We've developed an unexpected friendship. 2 people who loved Marcus and learned, separately, what he was capable of when desperate. She thanks me for exposing the pattern before Emma became another victim of his control. Dr. Chen still comes for chess on Thursdays. Leonard checks in weekly, making sure no one's attempting any legal maneuvering. The people who matter stayed. The people who didn't left. Last week, Emma and I went to the Riverside Cultural Center, Catherine's memorial, the building I designed in her honor. Emma brought her sketchbook. I brought the original blueprints. We sat on the front steps in autumn sunlight. Showed her the structural calculations, explained the load, bearing walls, pointed out the architectural choices that made the building sing. Why did you leave this to the foundation instead of Dad? She asked. Direct like her grandmother. Because buildings should belong to people who protect them. Your father wanted to control my legacy. The foundation wants to preserve it. There's a difference. She sketched the entrance columns, her hand moving with Catherine's fluid grace and my structural precision. The legacy I wanted to pass to Marcus is passing to her instead. Different path. Better outcome. Maybe. Grandpa, was it worth it? Everything that happened. Watched her sketch. 16 years old, brilliant, artistic, asking questions that matter. No longer a weapon in her father's case. No longer doubting her own perceptions. No longer learning that manipulation succeeds. People ask me that, Emma. They want simple answers, yes or no, worth it or not, but the truth is complicated. I lost my son. I destroyed his professional reputation. I fractured our family. I live alone in a house built for 3 people. But you know the truth now. You saw that manipulation has consequences. You learned to trust your own eyes instead of accepting what you're told to believe. You're free of his control before it took root. Touched her hand. That had to be worth something. She squeezed my fingers. It was Grandpa. It was worth it. Maybe she's right. Or maybe we're both just trying to make peace with necessary destruction. I built skyscrapers that will outlast me. Built a family that collapsed in a courthouse. Architecture is more reliable than children. Catherine would have hated that thought. But she didn't live to see what our son became. I did not destroy Marcus. I simply stepped aside and let consequences finish the work. He taught Emma that I was weak, confused, incompetent. I taught her what strength actually looks like, knowing when to let go, even when it breaks you. Some betrayals cannot be forgiven. Only survived. I survived. Emma survived. We're building something new from the rubble, not family in the traditional sense, but something honest, something real. That's enough. If this story touched you or made you think about family, betrayal, and justice, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe to Familix's Revenge. Sharing real experiences like mine helps others recognize manipulation before it's too late. Thanks for listening to my story.